The desolate stretch of Gilgo Beach, Long Island, became a chilling crime scene in December 2010. That's when the first of several bodies was found, a discovery that would send shockwaves through the community and beyond. It began with the search for Shannon Gilbert, a young woman who vanished months earlier. Instead of finding her, police stumbled upon the remains of another woman. The victim, later identified as Melissa Barthelemy, was found wrapped in burlap. Her discovery triggered a massive search operation. Over the next few days, 3 more bodies surfaced, all young women, all found in similar conditions. The victims were later identified as Maureen Brainerd Barnes, Megan Waterman, and Amber Lynn Costello. They became known as the Gilgo Four. The gruesome findings pointed to a possible serial killer operating in the area. The news spread panic and fear. Who was this predator targeting vulnerable women? The discovery marked the beginning of a long and complex investigation, one that would involve multiple agencies and span over a decade. The investigation initially focused on finding a connection between the victims. All 4 women were petite, in their 20s, and worked as escorts advertising on Craigslist. This suggested the killer might have used the internet to lure his victims. The case gripped the nation, and the race was on to find the person responsible for these horrific crimes. The Suffolk County Police Department faced immense pressure to solve the case. The eyes of the nation were on them as they delved into the lives of the victims, searching for any clues. Investigators pored over missing persons reports, looking for any links to the Gilgo Four. They interviewed family and friends, hoping to uncover any details that might lead them to the killer. The investigation quickly expanded beyond Long Island as authorities shared information with other agencies. They were determined to uncover any similar cases across the country. The FBI provided behavioral analysis, trying to create a profile of the killer based on the crime scenes. Despite their efforts, the case remained frustratingly cold. The killer was meticulous, leaving little to no forensic evidence behind. The bodies were found in a remote area, making it difficult to determine how they got there. Was the killer familiar with the area? Did he have a vehicle? These were just some of the questions that haunted investigators. Months turned into years, and the Gilgo Beach murders became a haunting reminder of the unknown killer lurking in the shadows. The case went cold, but the victims' families and the community never gave up hope for justice. The search for the Gilgo Beach killer continued, a chilling reminder that some mysteries take time to unravel. As the investigation stalled, theories and speculation swirled around the Gilgo Beach murders. Some experts believed the killer was a local, someone familiar with the secluded area where the bodies were found. Others theorized he might be a transient individual, passing through Long Island and leaving a trail of victims in his wake. The use of burlap to wrap the bodies sparked its own set of theories. Was it a signature of the killer, a way to personalize his crimes? Or was it simply a practical choice, readily available and effective in concealing the bodies? Some speculated the burlap might be traced back to a specific source, potentially leading investigators closer to the killer. Profilers suggested the killer was likely organized and methodical, someone who could maintain a seemingly normal life while committing horrific acts. They believed he might be comfortable in social situations, able to blend in and avoid detection. The fact that he targeted sex workers, a vulnerable population often overlooked by society, spoke to a possible sense of power and control he derived from his crimes. The lack of forensic evidence suggested the killer was forensically aware, taking steps to avoid leaving behind DNA or other trace evidence. This pointed to someone who might have knowledge of law enforcement procedures, possibly from prior encounters with the law or an interest in crime and investigation. Over the years, the investigation explored numerous leads, questioning potential suspects and persons of interest. Some individuals drew attention due to their criminal history, particularly crimes against women or connections to the sex work industry. Others raised flags because of their proximity to the crime scenes or suspicious behavior around the time of the murders. One person of interest was a doctor who lived near Gilgo Beach. He had contact with one of the victims before her disappearance. However, he denied any involvement in the murders, and there wasn't enough evidence to link him to the crimes. Another individual, a convicted sex offender, became a suspect due to his past crimes and knowledge of the area. Yet, again, no direct evidence tied him to the Gilgo Beach case. Despite exploring various leads, investigators couldn't find that one crucial piece of evidence to connect any of the suspects definitively to the murders. The investigations seemed to hit dead end after dead end, leaving both law enforcement and the public frustrated and yearning for answers. The lack of progress frustrated the victims' families, who desperately sought justice for their loved ones. They held on to hope, clinging to the belief that one day, the person responsible for these horrific acts would be caught and held accountable.